guys, it's Algernon,
And it's TheNonah.
and welcome to our talk show. So today we are talking about episode 14,
Yes,
and
14.
this topic is going to be very, very interesting, and we just hope it's going to really truly help everybody out here into the YouTube world, and we're just here to inspire people.
Yes. And so for this particular topic, we're going over peer pressure that might go, it might, it might happen to you, it might not, or it's something that you find yourself in a situation in from time to time, or if you haven't already dealt with peer pressure, we're going to kind of go ahead and share a little bit about that and our experiences with that, if anything, so you guys have an idea. And also, we're going to go over societal pressure. So, what I mean by that is, when it comes to society and their own standards, and, based on the trends that we are seeing nowadays, especially on social media, sometimes we are kind of vulnerable to those types of standards and trends, and we find ourselves, well, depending on the type of person you are, whether you are influenced by that or not, but we find ourselves, comparing, or we might feel like we're not good enough because of what is portrayed on social media and what is deemed to be like normal. So, yes, we're going to briefly touch base on that, and hopefully you guys can understand what we're trying to say with that. And if you guys can relate in any way, feel free to, drop a comment, or, tell us a little bit about that if you guys are okay with that, of course. But I'm going to go ahead and ask Algie, what is your definition of peer pressure?
My definition of peer pressure to me, it means that there is like almost like a competition, I would say,
Yeah.
within ourselves, and we see other people doing stuff, so we automatically want to do stuff as well. And a lot of times, that's not always helpful.
Yeah.
You feel the pressure, but you don't really realize that you're having this peer pressure of, I always have to go on live and do wild things that you normally don't do.
Yes.
Or try to have conversations that you think that is actually popular or cool to say about, but it doesn't help the situation at all.
Yeah. And I think it's pretty interesting how you see this everywhere in a lot of social media platforms, besides like in real life, where you can kind of feel like there's this type of pressure, whether it's between, classmates of yours, acquaintances, or even people you might really know pretty well. But the fact that they're doing certain things or saying certain things that you don't feel like it's right, but yet it's like if it's normal and within the group, or normal between those people, is there something wrong with me? Like, it's kind of that feeling, because you don't want to look like you don't fit in, even though, of course, like when it comes to going with what is right, sometimes when you're surrounded by people who think that's like it's okay or whatever, they look at you a certain way. And I think it's kind of something that's pretty prevalent nowadays, I would say, too. Peer pressure.
It is. It's really truly because, if you think about it, we all follow celebrities, YouTubers, and all these people, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I think what it is that we get so caught up on the glitz and the glamour and this and that, and look what they got, and look what she got, and look what he got, and look at all this nice stuff that they have.
Yeah.
And then you start realizing, not everybody does, but some people, I like to call it keep up with the Joneses and the Kardashians. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So you have this mindset, okay, well, that they're buying, I have to buy it too. Now, you have to realize, finances are very truly important. If you can afford, nice things or whatever, that's fine. But it's really truly how to budget when it comes to fashion and other things, just, what do you call it? Diversify yourself when it comes to your finances, okay?
Yeah.
Because the more you keep spending more money than what you're actually making, you're make yourself broke in the process.
I know,
So
and it
a
hurts
lot
you.
of times people don't really truly realize, it's nice to have, a nice purse or a nice backpack or a nice expensive clothes and shoes and all this other kind of stuff. That's great. If you can afford it, go ahead and do that. But if you know in your heart that you cannot afford it, um, you start having a conversation with your friends and stuff like that. Want to go to this party or go to this club or go to all these different things, and you cannot financially afford it. You have the automatic peer pressure,
Yes.
okay? Because I have to do what my friends are doing. I have to do what everybody else is doing. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to be this way, and it's like you have to just slow back and calm down, relax, because you're starting to become a person that you're not. I should say
Yeah,
that you're not normally would automatically would do. Because sometimes I will say, fame is a horrible drug.
I would
Because
think so.
people
Yeah,
are
you see the
really
whole pattern of it
truly,
too.
yeah, people are really truly into fame now. And it's so dangerous. And all this just devil's playground. It's not that serious.
Mhm.
But I want to ask you, like, what does peer pressure mean to you? And have you ever felt in peer pressure at all? Have you ever experienced that?
So yes, when I came up with this topic, I was thinking about back in high school or whatever. I mean, I wouldn't say I was like directly peer pressured. It's just when you notice that the group does certain things that you don't see yourself doing. And it's like you're the odd one out. So basically, that's what I mean when it comes to peer pressure. It's like it doesn't necessarily have to be like straight to your face, like they're pressuring you to do certain things. It's just when you see it happening, and then you almost feel like that pressure to kind of go with it, but at the same time, it's like I know you want to fight it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it doesn't have to be direct, but it's more of like it's it almost could be peer pressure in a way because it's like whatever they're
Right.
doing is like normal for them. And if I
Right.
don't do something that is normal for them, then it looks like I'm like the outlier or like I'm just not part of that group or whatever. So it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, like you're pushed into doing certain things like drugs or like doing all these crazy things. But it's just the fact that you see it happening and you have that sense of, you know, pressure going on.
Mm.
Yeah. So I didn't directly get told to do certain things. It was just more like they just do it around, and I'm just here like, well, I decide not to because I fight that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
hmm So in terms of societal pressure, like what we deal with in society, I don't know if you've ever. Sorry if that's really like loud, but I don't know if you've ever experienced, you know, scrolling through social media or just going through all these different social media platforms, whether it's Facebook. Nowadays, there's TikTok. Not that we all go on that. Some people do. Snapchat. Like you just see things that you might not do. But do you ever feel pressure when it comes to the stuff you see on social media?
Um, no, not really. Well,
hmm
no, not really. Because here's the thing, like with me, I just, I'm just happy for other people. Now, will I listen to see what's going on in the shade room and stuff like that? Yes, I admit I look at the shade room a lot. But I don't think I would feel like pressure really, no. Because for me, I'm just my own person. I
Yeah,
just love and support everybody, whatever that they choose, what they want to do, because I don't judge people for what they do. It's just that you just have to be real with yourself. You know, because like for me, yes, I go on Instagram and Snapchat and see like what people be doing and stuff like that, but I don't let what people do phase me
that's a good
unless
thing.
like somebody is coming for me. Then that's a different story. I could just be like, okay, you don't know me, don't be judging me because I don't judge you. If that makes sense.
I get that. You know, that's a good thing when you are always on social media, but you just don't let that stuff get to you.
Right.
Because here's the thing, a lot of, preteens and teens nowadays are really influenced by social media, and like they can easily get caught up with the trends or whatever the standard is and can really do damage. So we actually did talk about, body standards and stuff that we see on social media, and we wanted to kind of go back to that. So then when it comes to the body standards of, let's say, like, this year versus, previous years, and how that has changed or evolved. And people who are still on social media that are really young nowadays, it's like they're constantly going with what is in right now.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
It's so challenging when it comes to, because if you think about it, I was just thinking about this right now. Back in 2007, that's like when smartphones really truly came out. That's when
Oh, yeah.
first iPhone came out, the Android came out, and all that other stuff came out, right?
Yeah.
So back at that time, when we was in middle school and high school, we didn't really care about social media like that because it just started. Facebook was really what was really truly popular. Okay.
Yeah, Facebook. And then maybe MySpace, but that was like a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, this was like way after MySpace. Like, I remember you and I were talking during lunch. You're like, oh, you're going to make a Facebook? Are you going to make a Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook was the only thing that was, I think, mostly used, unless you're one of those people that are so caught up with all the social media that you probably have already started Instagram. But the thing was, like, I wasn't as into Instagram until, like, I think lately.
Yeah. I think what the real reason is why a lot of people are so into it now is because of the notifications that we get on their phones.
Oh, yeah.
So you know how like everybody be having like 1,000 text messages and 1,000 messages and social media and something for. Think about it. A lot of times people get caught up with that because it makes it look like you're popular.
That's true.
You see all these likes, you see all these comments, you see all the direct messages, you see Snapchat messages, you see all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not important. Really, it's truly, it's not. Now, unless you feel like it's important to you. But if you just really, truly just be yourself and just be like, okay, it's just a phone, it's just notifications, big deal,
Yeah.
But what society is now is, what's the most expensive product that's out there? The most expensive iPad, most expensive iPhone, most expensive Android, doing all these things. And you know what? You don't really realize that you're pretty much doing that. Have to keep up. Have to keep up with this. I have to keep up with that. And doing all this kind of stuff. But it's really messing up yourself mentally.
Yeah.
And spiritually, too. Because you also got to think about that. Hey, I don't do this normally. I normally don't act this way. Why am I doing this all of a sudden? You start questioning yourself a little bit. Because a lot of times, the people that we hang around with, they are not always good influencers unless they're doing something that is, correctly and godly and stuff like that. Then okay, I understand why you're using this, platform by doing this.
Yeah.
But it's almost like I like to call it a friendship competition. People like to have competitions with other people instead of having competitions with themselves. Ooh,
yeah, and it's really dangerous, especially because I just want to keep going back to like how there's really young people using social media. Like it's almost like questionable, like why they even allow that, because there's just too much that can really do damage, especially at a young age.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if every single person right now is just letting their kid, or like I don't know, just nowadays it seems like they have iPads at early ages and iPhones, even sometimes like the latest ones, and it's like, oh my gosh. And they're already kind of, I don't like to say like brainwashed, but I'm just saying that they're already so influenced at a young age. And that's what I think, for me, that's what's really scary. Especially if they're super into it too. Like if they already have an Instagram, like first of all, they shouldn't have an Instagram that young.
Exactly.
But yet it's just a thing now. Like, I feel like it's almost normal to have children have these devices and social media access.
But yes, yes. And it's really truly because this new generation, I tell everybody this is terrible.
Oh,
Because,
yeah,
back
we
when we
look
were
terrible.
kids, it is terrible because, back in the day, we used to love playing kickball and tug of
Like,
war.
actually go outside and play in real, like,
Yes.
games.
We didn't care about telephones and stuff like that. We cared about hanging out with our friends and going to each other's houses.
And more outdoors time just in general. Like, actually fun, besides just looking at a screen all day, you know what I mean?
Right. But now it's like everybody in America is just like this, doing all this.
Yeah. No one's really communicating in real life either, and some people even struggle communicating with other people because they're so used to having a device do it for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's another big issue, but that's a whole nother topic in itself. But in terms of like the pressure that comes from early age of just being on social media is pretty prevalent, especially in this generation.
Because there's a lot of people that are not good influencers. And it's
Oh yeah.
lot of people
And yet they're like super famous too. They're just everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really truly like I think so many people now are so into getting likes and comments so fast to where it's like you're starting to become addicted. Teenagers and stuff like that starting to get addicted to their phones way too much, starting to get addicted to computers way too much, all of this stuff. And sometimes you just need a break.
Yeah, sometimes we just need
teenagers,
a break.
adults, everybody. Sometimes you just need a break. You just need a break because you also got to think about the fact that, okay, people also love to judge. People love to misjudge people. People love to bully people, especially cyberbullying more and more nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about it. We're all on our phones. So when somebody wants to make comments about other people, it's like you got to understand, like, you're hurting them mentally too. We all have feelings. So the more that you're making comments about other people and it's on the fourth, you gotta start looking at yourself when you're doing that too, because like what kind of influence is that? Who are you to judge somebody else?
That's right.
You know?
Yeah, and it's just so I don't know. It's like it's just gonna keep going as much as we don't want it to keep going, but it just because technology is just getting more advanced and advanced, and it's just so normal, especially nowadays because everyone's online. Like most schools are still online. I mean, some are starting to open up, but a lot of the stuff that we learn just has to be online. So it's like it's almost inevitable that you are going to keep being you have to be dependent on technology.
Right.
So as long as that keeps going, unfortunately we can't just easily like stop that. But we could kind of minimize as much as we can. But in terms of stopping it completely, it's like pretty much impossible at this point.
Yeah, and the more of people now realize, like, hey, look, I need a break from social media, or I just need a break in general. You keep hurting yourself in a way that you're not recognizing at all.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you all start to think about who also is acting this way as well too, because when you have a bad person influencing you, now it's like you gotta start paying attention who you're really hanging out with.
Yeah.
Because not everybody is going to be supportive of everything that you're actually doing. And yes, we all gonna have haters. Yes, we all gonna have negative people in this stuff before.
Yes.
But however, we cannot let that stop us. We have to keep going forward. Okay. So what I mean by that is, people gonna say negative stuff all the time on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if you're doing something positive and great things going on for your life, you have to keep going. Because you know what? You have to give these people something to talk about, right? So, but however, you cannot let social media become so addictive to where
yes,
you want to start selling your soul. And that is starting to actually happen more and more.
Yeah, I think I see that a lot happen too.
And that's also part of the peer pressure because think about it, you see all these people all the time selling their soul for fame
and for money.
Fame. Insta fame, YouTube
Yeah.
fame,
For
Facebook
money,
fame.
fame, and just being part of that, like the cool crowd or whatever, or whatever they want to
All
call
this
it.
clicks and all this nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah, and
And it's
that's
constantly happening.
so sad.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we just want to kind of talk a little bit about that, and hopefully you guys understood a little bit more about peer and societal pressure, because it's really, really common nowadays, especially that, you know, we're all on social media somehow, and we're just seeing things happen that we don't really like to see. But we just wanted to address that there is constant peer pressure and just pressure within the society nowadays, especially for those who are super young and who are on social media, which I totally just don't stand for that. Like, I really don't like the fact that there are really young kids, as young as, like, how old do you think? Like 2? I don't know. But it's really bad that they're even using technology. But unfortunately, that's what we see nowadays. But we just kind of wanted to address that. Something that we wanted to talk about this topic because it's pretty important and super prevalent nowadays, that we're seeing people just get pressured by either people around them, like their friends, acquaintances, anyone, and even society itself. Yep.
We just want to inspire y'all and let y'all know that just be yourself, be happy in your own skin. You know, don't let nobody dictate your life. Don't let anybody feel like they can just bully you or any negative thing. Stay true to yourself. Keep doing great things in your life. Don't let anybody stop you. I don't care who it is, family, friends, whoever. You have to live your best life for you. You have to do what's right for you. Okay? And you always, always, always have to keep God first. Put Him first, and everything else
follows.
Is going to fall through for you.
But also, just don't buy into what you see, because a lot of times whatever you see is basically for show or just to show off, or there's a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't notice, especially because of an Instagram post. You start assuming like everything is perfect in their life. Then again, just remember, like what we said about the whole body standards and everything, that it's really just to show off, and it's not whatever. I mean, I'm trying to think of a way to like explain this, but I'm just saying, like, don't buy into what you see. Whatever looks pretty is probably not pretty in real life.
Right. There you go. There you go.
So I wanted to kind of leave it at that note. We're just gonna keep it short a little bit here, not too long, but I hope you guys understood a little bit more about, you know, stuff that's going on nowadays, and hopefully that will change one day. But just remember to just not buy into what you see and to always stay true to yourself.
That's right. You gotta keep going, y'all.
Yes.
Do you and stay doing you, okay?
Then that's how you show love for yourself as well. If you just keep continuing to be true to yourself and do not give in, especially if something doesn't feel right. Like, typically your gut tells you for sure if something isn't right, and just stick with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So I hope you guys found this video helpful, and stay tuned for future videos at the TheNonah&AlgeTalkshow.
Yes.
All right. And I hope you guys have a great day, and we appreciate your time. We appreciate the likes and, you know, the new subscribers as well. So, yeah. Hope you guys have a good one.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.